Hey everybody! Investigative pop culture journalist Popcorn Farts coming at you once again, welcoming you to episode dose of my new channel on YouTube, Onlyfarts. Bringing you here today because I wanted to talk about a bit of a serious subject: abortion. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, we're here to talk about the Acolyte. Now, I know I said just 24 hours ago that I wasn't going to talk about the Acolyte because what could I say that the little platoon hasn't already covered? However, the internet is a fast place and 24 hours is a long time. And like the mafia, every time I'm out, they keep dragging me back in. So here we go, getting into it. Amandla Stenberg, God, her name's hard to pronounce, decided to continue her and Disney's never-ending war against the fandom yesterday, blaming the fans or the criticism of the show on the more alt-right aspect of the fan base. Now, granted, the internet's a pretty big place, folks, and the Star Wars fandom is massive. It encompasses, I think, all four corners of the political compass. So I'm not denying that there probably are some alt-right trolls out there that are saying some racist shit to her. However, I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan. And I can safely say I've never been alt-right. I've only voted for two people in my life, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. I'm not exactly the poster child for a fucking Charlottesville rally. That being said, I am a huge Star Wars nerd. And there's one thing she said that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about, and it struck out to me as an obvious fallacy. And that being that fans, like myself, criticized the show back when it was in its basic concept. The concept of this show they hated. I can tell you, as a huge Star Wars nerd, and someone who read the Darth Bane trilogy, the concept of it being about two female Sith was never in question to me. I was hoping for two female Sith, actually, because, again, as someone that read the Darth Bane trilogy, spoiler alert, Darth Xana kills Darth Bane in the end. She takes up the mantle of Dark Lord of the Sith. And her apprentice is another female named Darth Cognis. Both probably two of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars. It sucks that they're not canon yet, but here we are. But I was looking forward to it. And then I heard, because this show spent like 5 years in development hell. So we all heard like different rumors about it, but we heard it was going to be about two female Sith. And it was going to time jump from era to era. And I thought, oh, well, that's really cool. Like, if they're doing this show about Darth Xana and Darth Cognis, and they're going to time jump in between eras leading up to potentially Darth Plagueis and Darth Palpatine, Darth Sidious, Palpatine. I thought that's awesome. Like I can really dig my heels into a show like that. I love the concept. And then the D23 Expo happened, and the chick who played the mother lesbian came out dressed like she was in like one of the Persians from 300. It was all very bizarre. Huge hoop earrings. She said yes, yes. She made a lot of noises. The crowd erupted like seals because it was Disney. Of course they did. And then the one guy who played, I forgot his name, but what was his name? He had a whole fan base dedicated to him. If there's anyone in the comments that remembers what his legion of fans were for about 2 weeks, feel free to drop it. But he came out and he said that there was no evil in Star Wars. Star Wars was always a philosophy. Well, it was philosophy, but he said that the concept of evil had never been defined. It's like, what is evil? And it's like, well, no, that's not exactly true, buddy. Like, the first line in the opening crawl of A New Hope is the evil galactic empire. And, you know, I might lose all my cred with the Charlottesville crowd for saying this, but Nazis are bad, folks, and that's what the empire was. Space Nazis. Nazis of any kind. Not good. Definitely not someone you want to associate with or empathize with. And then that happened. And then just red flag after red flag going into the Acolyte from this is the gayest Star Wars ever to never-ending drama surrounding the development of this show. And then we get into episode 1. And man, oh man, not bad. It really wasn't. I know, like, up until that point, and I'll admit it, like, my red flags, I was pretty married to the ideas I had about this show, just based on some of the red flags. But I got to admit, episode 1 wasn't bad. It wasn't the best Star Wars, as I had heard some people claiming it to be, but it definitely wasn't the worst. It wasn't nearly as big a disappointment as I thought Kenobi was going to be. I'm not the hugest fan of the kung fu force fighting, but I was like, okay, whatever. There's not much of a story here. Like, it's kind of sucks that they killed Carrie Ann Moss off in like the first 5 minutes. I'm like, that's bad, but it's whatever. I'm in it. I'm gonna watch the ride. And then we got to about episode 3, where shit just completely goes off the rails, and the rest, as they say, is history. Again, I'd love to talk to anybody about like the advancement of that show and where it ended up, and just how many times they contradicted their own plot. They would forget their plot whenever it was necessary for them to. Just horrible. The non-binary gopher? What the fuck? If they wanted to include a non-binary character, and this goes back to what I said in the beginning of this video, I don't understand why they didn't go with Darth Xana. Because in the Darth Bane trilogy, at the end, again, spoiler alert, if you are just tuning into this video, and I don't know why you would just be tuning into this video, but in that video, in that trilogy, there's a certain Sith power called essence transfer of essence, where a Sith could transfer his essence from his body to another person if his will is stronger. If Darth Bane's will was stronger, he could have easily taken over Xana's body. However, or so we're led to believe, Darth Xana's will was actually stronger than Darth Bane, and she took over, or she won the fight. Darth Bane ceased to be. Now, there's debate among some fans about whether or not Darth Xana actually lost that fight, and Darth Bane was really in Xana's body, which would have been a great non-binary character. I mean, here you literally have a man trapped in a woman's body. I mean, there's no way around it. So why they didn't just go with that story? Instead, they went with the non-binary gopher. It was all very corporate Disney. Everything about it smacked of shit. I think the reason I hated the Acolyte most was just the colossal disappointment. I've had some disappointments in anticipation. Spider-Man 3, Rings of Power. But the Acolyte was one thing where I actually defended it when the concept first came out. Because, you know, like I said, the internet's a big place. And there definitely were people that were like, oh, great, another show with chicks. And I was one of the fuckers in the comment section that's like, no, let them cook. Because if they're doing Darth Xana and Darth Cognis, those are two badass female characters. Like, there's no ceiling to where that show can potentially go. And like everyone that watched it, whose heart was absolutely crushed in disappointment, I had to accept the fact that Star Wars really doesn't care about me anymore. Like, not me, like, when they say the alt-right, we know who they're talking about, because the alt-right is one of those terms, like so many in our culture today, that has just lost all sense of meaning or definition. It's a broad painting brush, let's put it that way. You can pretty much dismiss anybody you disagree with as either an incel, a racist, or a homophobe, or whatever. But yeah, when she says the alt-right, what she really means is like people that didn't like the show, which is Star Wars fans. I'm sorry. Anyone that read the Darth Bane trilogy, or anyone that was like grew up with the OG trilogy and the prequels, I have to believe cannot like the Acolyte. Fuck that. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan in general, you're just a common casual fan, which is who they were going for. They were going for the shippers and the modern audience. Even if you're one of them, you have to see the Acolyte for what it is, a vastly inferior product. And I think I've rambled on about as long as I am about this subject. Like I said, if you guys want to go see real good critiques and analysis about the Acolyte, I would recommend The Critical Drinker is a good one. See, I'm going to name all the alt-right ones that Amandla Stenberg hates me for. A Critical Drinker, I would say The Little Platoon, Star Wars Theory, obviously. He's a huge Star Wars nerd. Obsessed with it. Not a racist or not a sellout, as some of you have came at him for. There's another guy too, but honestly, he's British. I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly, so I'm not going to insult him. But just go down Acolyte criticism videos on YouTube. I'm sure you'll come across him. I know his name is like Disparu. He's pretty funny too. Check him out. Again, I'm sorry, I can't say your name right. You never say your name in your videos. What do you want me to do? But again, I hope for the 10 people that watched this video, I hope that you found some entertainment in it. And this one wasn't really for entertainment. This one was more just me venting about the Acolyte. Because fuck that show, dude. Fuck Disney. And fuck them for gaslighting us. Assholes. But hey, if you disagree, by all means, leave a comment. And holler at your boy. Because I love talking Star Wars. Peace be with you, and may the Force be with everyone.